Hey, good morning, traders. Happy Monday. It's June 3rd. Prices of BTC currently at 8,526. Looks like overnight, at least in the US part, time zone, we had a shakeout right here. Prices went down all the way to a low of 83.30. And now it seems like this is a low right here, and this is still a higher low. Okay. Unfortunately, we did break past this big accumulation zone that I had pointed out to my community a couple of days ago, okay, or maybe a day ago. So something like this. This is usually it's called the bullish rectangle. Typically, you have a sideways accumulation and then a big push up. So what that kind of tells me is this area right here did get invalidated in a sense because usually you don't want to go deeper than the equilibrium of this sideways range. So right in the middle is where I would have liked, for the fact that candles essentially closed at least on the hourly or 4 hour and then reversed, but it looks like because they went deeper, this area now may become resistance, around 85.25. But we'll see exactly, if prices do climb back up towards $87, $8,800. Okay. Unfortunately, at the current 85.25 level, what we really need to see is, some higher lows like this, right? And then some higher highs. And once we get past this accumulation area, the next big area is probably 87.50 that we need to get through, okay? But for the most part, we definitely saw a bit of a double top if you look at it on the 2 hour time frame with this big wick right here. Its price has essentially been struggling to stay above 618 fib, which this fib comes from this top to this bottom. Again, if you don't know how to utilize these fibs, come join the Cryptosomniac community, guys. We have a huge, community of analysis. Here are all the Advantage member analysis channels. We have a huge education channel only for the Advantage members right here. There's a trove of material, guys. I mean, you can learn everything in here, and specific videos only dedicated for the Cryptosomniac Advantage members. Okay, so with that being said, we did break under that 618 fib again, so definitely not a positive sign, but in the grand scheme of things, we still have technically put in a higher low when we look at it from this drop right here that we had all the way down to about 7,900 or 8,000 when we hit that 9,000 top, right? Now let's sort of dial back and start looking at things from a higher time frame. Okay, so let's shoot out on the daily over here. Let's look at this chart. Okay, so here's that daily, which now seemingly looks like a double top. Okay, I mean, by any means, this looks like a double top, but remember that we also had a double top, and I say that kind of in air quotes. I know you can't see me, but double tops, guys, they cannot be validated as double tops until the previous swing low has been broken to the downside. Okay, same thing over here. You could see how this right here looks exactly the same as over here. Okay, you had a bit of a struggle in this quote unquote double top, right? This $8,200 area on the daily chart, and then price, after putting in this big wick, put in this higher low and then pushed higher. Okay, now we could be doing the same thing after putting in this deep wick right here. Price could be putting in another higher low right here and then aim higher and higher. Okay, we will not know exactly where prices are going to be unless, first this low is broken. Okay, if we start closing a daily under, I'm gonna mark this out because it's definitely an important one, an important level. 8280. Okay, that's really the level to watch. All right. So in my community, I stated, yesterday I was in a position, got into BTC at 8650 right here. You can see. So I post all my open positions right here for my community. You can see all the previous ones that we had gains in, and then some of the ones that we closed out. We have losses too, guys. We're human, right? We have losses, but we also have gains that are much bigger. Okay. As you can see right here, 10.3% gain. Okay, so it's all about maintaining your losses in a smaller amount, but keeping your gains higher. I've stated that over and over again. Okay, so anyway, going back to this analysis, you could see that in my community, I stayed open position. I got stopped out overnight. Okay, and then I re-entered BTC just before doing this analysis around 85.20. Okay, and my stop is now right around $8,300. It'll probably be just under this one that I just showed you, maybe 82.75 or so. But depending on which exchange you're on, 8,300 is probably the level that to be watching, because that is a psychological level. Okay. So with that being said, if prices do break past on the daily, past this number right here, then this is a confirmed double top. Okay. Then the next level to watch is probably 8,000, because I honestly don't see anything else in the way beyond that. Okay. It's going to be an interesting climb back up if we do climb, because this is, if it closes as is right now, this candle is definitely a bearish engulfing. Okay, we have not had a bearish engulfing on the second go around when we had this reversal right here. So you cannot compare it to be a perfect fractal, but it is for the most part. Looking exactly this move right here, this double toppy move looks like exactly like this one. Okay. Another thing that we're sort of seeing is, we're kind of in something like this. It's a ascending triangle. Okay. I mean, we could technically even do something like this. Okay. So on the daily chart, we are in a nice ascending triangle. All right. So definitely a positive sign, because remember, when price moves into the ascending triangle from the downside, or for the most part, ascending triangles are more bullish than bearish. There's a higher chance that this price will break out to the upside, and then the range of the triangle, which is say 7,900 all the way to 8,800, that's about an $800 move. So that means that if the breakout were to occur, say tomorrow, from 8,800 to $800 up is 9,600. That would be the target that we look out for. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. Now here's another thing. Okay, so let's look at sort of the bearish scenario. Okay, so now I'm going to move these lines a bit differently. Okay, so we're going to move them around kind of like this. Okay, and now we have something like a rising wedge. Okay, so this is your rising wedge. All right, and people have been drawing parallel channels out of this, and this is definitely not a parallel channel. I can guarantee you that this is definitely a rising wedge. Let me show you exactly what people are mistakenly doing, is that they're drawing something like this, and like that, or I don't know, maybe something like that. This is definitely not a parallel channel, I can tell you that much, because you're not having the parallel channel fill in both sides as prices rise higher and higher. Okay, so if I drag this parallel channel out like this, okay, and I touch it, you can see it's already missing a touch after this candle. It's not even getting up to this high. Then it comes down again, not filling it, touches up again, but then misses all the touches down here. Okay, so for the most part, what I'm trying to say is this is more of a falling wedge than a parallel channel. All right. Now, what obviously falling wedges, excuse me, are bearish patterns. Okay, so if price does start to close, beyond this ascending trend line of the parallel channel. Okay, so let me draw that almost perfectly to encompass every single trend line. So you can see that this 8280 line right here matches perfectly with the break outside of the ascending rising wedge. Okay, if this is broken, then I would say this is definitely a sell signal, and you might want to get out of the market. Okay, this is definitely the area that, if we drag it like right there, because technically this candle closed, it seems, at 82.77. This candle opened at 82.77. So 82.70, 82.50, those are really the areas that you want to look out for. Okay, so for the most part, I mean, it would invalidate the support right here, which is around 82.50 if prices do fall, and it would validate this rising wedge. This is why it's going to be critical for BTC to stay above 82.50 and close above it. All right. Okay. Now, other than that, I mean, the wave count right here, as you can see, it is still intact, but the wave count doesn't take into account of things like the double top that we're seeing right now. I mean, for bigger Elliott wave counts, especially the intermediate counts, which are multi-day, multi-week, maybe multi-month, they do not take into account smaller fractional double toppy moves or these rising wedges, whatever. Really, what they're looking for is larger price movements, like this big drag of a third wave, maybe the fourth wave right there, fifth wave. But again, I stated that I don't possibly think that this could be the fourth wave, because the second wave right here took 44 days. So if we were to have a fourth wave, it might be starting off from this move right here that we had at that 9,000 high. Okay, or even where the candles close, which is around 8,800. Okay, and that might drag out into the rest of June. All right. But again, I'm not seeing structural issues just yet until the levels that I just stated get broken. Okay. Now, in the other trade that I was looking at specifically, okay, was XRP, because it had such a beautiful chart. It looks something like this. Okay, this is a perfect ascending triangle to me. I think I actually spotted it on the daily. And like I said, ascending triangles, they have a high propensity to break to the upside. I entered in with a small trade. You can obviously wait for confirmation to close above 46 on the daily and then re-enter. But for the most part, price action, will follow BTC. As much as people want to sort of say that XRP or any of these crypto assets move on their own, I personally think that a majority of the market moves with BTC. And if you have some shitcoin that doesn't mean you are a genius, that you found something unique. It just means that that coin is either too small to matter, or it's probably manipulated. Okay. Now, going along with correlations, here's something that I really like. This is a chart that I mocked up on Coinmetrics. If you're in the US, you might appreciate this more. BTC is, does not have any correlation for the most part to gold, right there, which is the gray, DXY, which is the US dollar, and then the SP500, which is a purple line. Okay. And this is, to me, a very positive sign that Bitcoin is an asset that, really has no correlation to the traditional markets, and thus it becomes a pretty great hedge to be able to get into, due to the fact that prices of BTC currently are at 8,000, and if they do go higher and higher, and say the stock market does crash, I personally don't think that BTC will be that impacted. But then again, we've never seen a BTC move through a recession or a depression, at least in the United States. So it'll be interesting to watch Bitcoin over the the next coming few months, coming years, because at some point I would say that most assets that are going to be reputable assets in the world, that are going to be highly traded. I read a statistic that on the CME BTC futures, the Bitcoin futures are actually one of the highest volume traded assets, among the CME group. And the CME guys, remember that it trades, a significant amount of futures for all kinds of commodities, all kinds of markets. They trade oil and wheat, they trade butter, all kinds of stuff. And if Bitcoin is, rated so high in terms of how much volume and open interest that it has on the CME futures, I think that's a very positive sign. Okay. But with that being said, we still do have to keep in mind of the day-to-day, price action and movement. And you can see clearly that we are in a bit of a scared territory right now. I'm going to see if prices are going to hold up in this 8250 area, as stated. And then other than that, I still remain in my open positions. I'll probably have to update this thing. I've put up multiple BTC analysis through the past few days to keep my community informed and updated. This is what we do, guys. I explain to everyone what positions I'm getting into, why, what random trade setups if we see any. Here's one that I talked about yesterday. BNB has been looking great. Here's another one. ETC was looking fantastic. ETC actually, over here, some people got into ETC. 2020, our group member, he entered in at 794, hit 967, got out. This person entered at 868, got out at 920, 7% profit. So as you can see, the information that I provide, obviously not investment advice, but it's clearly useful for people if they want to make their decisions. Okay. And we have with that, a ton of, and even over here, I want to show you guys this, okay? The last two corrections were called out and saved me 15 to 20% losses, okay? So I know everyone likes to tout about the fact that, hey, their community is making each other profits of like X and Y%, but more importantly, I find in reviews like this just as important, because if you can save on a loss, guys, that's one of the most important rules in trading is capital preservation. The second most important rule is growing your capital. But if you don't follow rule number one, which is preserving your capital, you can't get number two. Okay, so this is why I find reviews like this more genuine and honest, because you get to see that you can avoid these sharp drops, at least in our community. Now, I won't be able to predict them right at the top, but somewhere around the middle of the candle, if we start seeing structural breaks, I will be able to point that out from technicals and help you understand what's happening, okay? So with that being said, actually another thing that I wanted to point out is, let's go back over here. Where is it? Okay, well, on this chart right here, we had this big trading range that I explained earlier, right? And once we sort of bounced up above this 618 fib, once we got rejected by this double top, you can now see that the bottom of this trading range, it may become resistance. Okay, so if that becomes resistance, unfortunately, we may test these previous lows again. Or what may happen is, price might struggle a little bit right here, move sideways, drop a little bit, create another higher low, try to push through, get rejected, higher low, and then push on through. Okay, so that might be another thing that might happen. But remember the key levels that I pointed out and keep those in mind. All right. With that being said, guys, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Cryptosomniac.com. Come join our community. Click the Discord server link right there. Click the products link right there if you want to join the Advantage program. I would say that's all I have, folks. BTC is still looking decent to me. Nothing in terms of validating that double top just yet. I still remain fairly bullish. No structural issues, so don't panic just yet. All right, keep in mind of the analysis at hand. Share our analysis, give us a thumbs up, ask questions, come join our community, a very active community right here. Remember, guys, if you get dropped into just seeing this channel right here, community discussion, this just means that you're in the free lounge. Okay. I was actually in LA this past weekend, so I got to see Jason and Snay, and that's my wife Camille. So all of us work in Cryptosomniac. So as you can see, guys, we're a pretty friendly community, not just internet bugs that are hiding behind some random named account. I know there's a lot of people in the crypto world who do not like to show their face, do not like to share their name. And I think that kind of says a lot about them, that they may not be comfortable with showing their face because they don't want to be accountable for, making mistakes. And I just don't think that's a right way to do it. Okay. If you've been doing this for a while, like I have, you take full responsibility and accountability for, your analysis. And I always state that, if I'm in losing positions, I'll definitely explain that, hey, as you can see right here, I stated I got stopped out overnight at BTC 85.50. I entered in at 86.50, so not that big of a loss, maybe like 0.5%, 0.75%, but now I'm re-entering at 85.20. So you could clearly see that, when it comes to being open, I would say our community is the best at that. All right. That's it, folks. All right. I hope you enjoy this analysis. Come join Cryptosomniac. Give us a thumbs up on this YouTube video and watch for those key levels, guys. At the very least, 87.50 needs to break to the upside, or this $8,300 area needs to hold, or technically 82.50 on the daily chart. All right, and that's it. You guys take care. Give us a thumbs up. Leave me a comment of your thoughts, and that's it. Cheers.